4 miles every 4 hours for 48 hours. Are you ready for the David Goggins challenge? Cheers, y'all. How's it going? If you are tuning into this video, hopefully that means you have either run the David Goggins challenge in the past or are planning to run it, possibly even this coming weekend, March 5th, the official 2021 David Goggins challenge. It's a lot of fun, but I wanted to create this video going over my experience, but more importantly, just diving into 5 tips that I learned along the way that will hopefully make your Goggins run a lot easier, a lot more fun, a lot more manageable once it comes time to start running. Real quickly, like I said, I took on the Goggins challenge just for fun about 6 months ago. It's 4 miles every 4 hours for 48 hours. Basically, in total, you are running 48 miles over 48 hours. But the challenging part about that is you're breaking it up into manageable chunks, but dealing with the sleep deprivation and trying to time out all of those runs really starts to become a challenge. But all in all, it took me just under 7 hours of total running time to complete the 48 miles. So I managed about an 8 to 9 minute mile pace for the entire duration of the run. If you're interested in more specifics about how my run went, I have a full video documenting from start to finish how my Goggins challenge experience went. It's about 15 minutes, but I'll link to that down below. This video is more about just the specific tips I took away from the experience that will hopefully help you on your attempt at the Goggins challenge. If you are taking on the David Goggins challenge, please give the video a thumbs up to let me know. I hope you find this video helpful, and if you enjoy it, please subscribe and stay tuned for future videos as well. So now that that's out of the way, let's dive into the real reason you're here, specific tips that you can take with you into your attempt at the Goggins challenge. Tip number 1 is really going to play into a theme that you are going to see throughout the video, but that is to put as much time as you can into planning for your intervals ahead of time. I think the experience of the Goggins challenge, it's only 4 miles at a time, split up across those 48 hours. It seems very approachable, and in some sense it is. But when you realize you only have that 4-hour block to run those 4 miles, but then to also eat, sleep, get your hydration in, take a shower, all that stuff, you realize that if you don't plan for those intervals ahead of time, those 4 hours will fly by very quickly. So the first thing that I would encourage you to do is to spend some time breaking out all of the runs that you're going to do over the 48 hours and start putting some little planning items into each blocks of things that you really want to focus on accomplishing, whether it be getting in some serious nutrition, getting some sleep in, etc. Understanding that you're going to need to adapt and change on race day. There's certainly going to be things that arise. You need to change that plan, but the more planning that you do ahead of time, it'll make it a lot easier for yourself come race day. You don't have to worry about a lot of those minute details. You can just focus on the necessities on race day. Moving into tip number 2, it should come as no shock, along the same lines as planning, but focusing some time specifically on planning out your hydration protocol for the run. Whether that means how much water you're going to be taking in, I would definitely recommend some kind of electrolyte beverage. I personally am a fan of Noon Hydration, but if that's Pedialyte, whatever it may be, just getting in some extra salt, some extra electrolytes outside of just water. And again, along the same lines of things that you want to plan for, start taking in hydration and electrolytes earlier than you think you'll need to, and focus on just consistency throughout the 48 hours. You don't want to wait until it's too late, because by the time it's too late, you're going to have a lot of miserable intervals while you wait for your body to recover. Whereas if you just start taking in healthy amounts of water and electrolytes from the start, you hopefully won't reach that point of no return. It'll be a lot more manageable, a lot more feasible along the way. Along the same lines, tip number 3 is staying on top of your nutrition. Again, this comes as no surprise. It probably seems obvious, but similar to hydration, I think you will help yourself so much if you plan out what types of things you're going to eat, what are those go-to meals you know you can rely on without having to worry about any kind of GI distress or anything like that, foods that you're going to be able to digest easily, because again, you only have 4 hours between each run, so having to fit in taking in a significant amount of calories while also having to balance that with running. You want to leave yourself enough time to digest. You don't want to eat so much that you're going to leave yourself uncomfortable for those upcoming intervals. Just know going into this, by the end of the 48 hours, you're going to be at a pretty massive calorie deficit. So anything that you can do along the way to help yourself out is going to be huge. I was focused on eating for my heavier meals, things like egg burritos or a cheese quesadilla, no kind of sauces or spices or anything like that, just totally plain with some butter. Cheese pasta was another one, like tortellini. Those were my heavier evening meals when I had more time to digest. And then another thing that I would highly recommend if you can pick them up, not a sponsor, but just cannot recommend them enough, Kodiak cakes, these little flapjacks in a cup or muffins in a cup. They are, like this one right here is 290 calories just in this one little thing. You just add a little bit of milk, throw it in the microwave for 60 seconds, and it is delicious, packed with protein. It is a great snack, again, just to help get some substantial calories in to help you maintain your effort throughout the 48 hours. That brings me to tip number 4, which is probably the most important tip that I give you, as well as the most important lesson that I learned on my Goggins attempt, that I learned the hard way, and that is to ration out your sleep early. I started my runs early in the morning. I believe I started my Goggins challenge at 8 a.m. And didn't take my first nap until after my midnight run on the first day, at which point I was pretty exhausted but felt okay. But then when I did finally take that short, brief nap, when I woke up for my 4 a.m. nap, I was delirious. It was so hard waking up. I was exhausted, and I realized what I really should have been doing was trying to take some smaller naps early on. One of the harder things about this challenge is you really can't get significant amounts of sleep at all, so you shouldn't plan for long sleeps at any given time. Instead, just like with food, hydration, everything, you should plan to kind of ration out little bits of sleep when you can and start as early as possible to make those overnight and evening runs a little bit easier on yourself. Throughout the second day, I tried to, if I was at all tired or was able to get any kind of nap, I tried to after pretty much every interval during the second day, just to, again, build up some of those reserves, and it made the runs through the second night of the challenge a lot easier. The first night, I cannot stress enough how difficult that was. So if you can bank some sleep early and try to fit in little cat naps, plan for more significant sleep overnight, just because honestly it'll be easier for your body to get to sleep and to sleep longer overnight. But if you can fit in at least some shorter naps early on, it will help a lot in the long run for building up and re-energizing those energy stores to prepare you better for those overnight runs, especially during that second night, which can be very challenging. Functionally, I would say tip number 4 was the most important, but overall experience-wise, tip number 5 is definitely the most important, and that is just to enjoy the challenge while it's happening. As you've probably gathered through all of the things I've said, there's so much going on during the challenge, so much to worry about. It's easy to get lost in all of those details. So if you can and when you can, take some time to just enjoy the experience. If that's a little journal that you keep, for myself personally, after each leg, I like to write down how many miles I ran, what my time was, what my pace was, etc. Little things like that so that I could remember and appreciate the experience while it was happening. It will be very easy to get wrapped up in the running, in the details themselves, but if you can take yourself out of it for even just a minute here and there to truly appreciate and enjoy the challenge and appreciate the lessons that you're learning, that is what the challenge is all about. That's what it's here for. But then once it's all over, make sure to celebrate accordingly. It is so worth it once you've crossed that finish line. 48 miles over 48 hours in such a brutal breakdown of intervals, but it is a lot of fun. So make sure to plan out along the same lines as planning. Have that post-race feast planned out. If you're a beer drinker, make sure you have those celebratory beers picked out ahead of time and enjoy the experience during, but also equally as importantly, enjoy it once it's over, because you will have crossed that finish line as a champion of the David Goggins challenge. Hopefully these tips will help you if you are taking on the challenge this weekend. Like I said, leave a thumbs up so that I know that you're taking it on. It's all for charity. It's all for a good cause. So I'm really excited to see how many people take on the Goggins challenge this week. It should be a blast, and I hope these tips will help you along the way. But if you enjoyed the video, give us a thumbs up. Make sure to subscribe to the channel so you can stay tuned for any of the future challenges that I will be taking on. A lot of fun stuff coming out later in 2021. But good luck accomplishing the David Goggins challenge. You're gonna crush it, and there will be plenty of celebrating to do once you do. So congratulations. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you on the other side. Cheers.